The Class 455 was an electrical multiple unit built by the British Rail Engineering Limited between 1982 and 1985. They were introduced in 1983, of which there were 3 subclasses, the Dash 9, the Dash 8 and the Dash 7, with the Dash 8s being recognisable by the visible horns and the Dash 7 being visible by the Class 508 TSOs. When it began service, it was run by British Rail, which looked like this. Then in 1986, it was acquired by Network South East, which then looks like this. And there's pretty much nothing to say about this era except for the fact that it became privatised in 1996, with South West Trains gaining the majority of the Class 455 fleet, and some Class 455-8s were sent to the later known Connex, which went bankrupt and became Southern. But I am not going to talk about it in this video. But what I am going to talk about is when it first ran, because the very first privatised service is run by, you guessed it, South West Trains, in, yet again, you guessed it, possibly the Class 455, from the Twickenham to London Waterloo service. Between 2005 and 2007, the Class 455 had finally had its midlife refurbishment, with an exterior formed of the South West Trains livery, a refreshed interior with 2x2 seating and no toilets, making them look from this to this. Beauty, aren't they? And that's pretty much how the majority of them looked like for the rest of their lives. However, to complete contrast, Southern units were also refurbished, using the modern day Southern livery. Then, oh look at that, it's 2007, which means a new franchise, with South West Trains losing to South Western Railway, owned by First Group and MTR, and South Western Railway wanting to scrap the 455s in favour for more sleek, modern, unique 701s. Of which they were so unreliable, they were in construction and in development for 8 years! So long that they lasted throughout the whole Southwestern franchise. Of when they were finally introduced in 2025, they weren't even owned by Southwestern Railway anymore. They were owned by the government, because the government reunionised all railways in a plan of their upcoming scheme, and coincidentally, Southwestern Railway was the first one to be reunionised in the new, not so new, Great British Railways. But in a serious note, in 2022, the Southern Class 455s were officially retired after a farewell tour. Those units were part of the Southern fleet between 1982 and 2022. However, I got no footage, so let's just skip that part. I kind of forgot about this in editing, but during 2024, the Class 455, mainly Unit 868, has been repainted to the original British Rail blue, which I rode on at least once, and over here is the footage of it passing. Fortunately, it has met its fate and is currently in storage, as of late 2025. Like I was saying, in 2025, the Class 455s were still in service, covering for the failed Class 701s. When they were rolling out, some of the Class 455s were officially getting withdrawn and scrapped from service. Notably, the Dash 9s were scrapped first, then some of the Dash 8s, and possibly all the Dash 7s were stored in Derby. In 21st of December 2025, the Class 455 managed to hold its final farewell tour for Southwestern Railway. It mainly consisted of 4 units of trains going across the railway. Units 871 and 727 managed to acquire Train B, whilst Units 712 and 717 managed to acquire as Train A. I managed to get on Train B, which was quite an honour really, and as you can see right here, over here is Unit 871. Then on 23rd of December 2025, the remaining Class 455s left mainline service. Surprisingly, it wasn't the end, because in February of 2026, the SCTG has officially announced the preservation of 455 Unit 871, which ensures the survival of the Class 455 for future generations. And even across early 2026, there were up to 6 units running as spares, replacing broken down Class 701s, which I managed to catch quite a few, if I'm honest. However, nothing really lasts forever. It was 20th of March 2026, and this Class 455 was about to be my very last one I'm ever about to capture. Because in this exact same day holds the very last day of the very last day of Class 455 ever operating. I was mainly lucky to get on this one, heading all the way down to Surbiton for one last ride. However, with its motor extremely bad conditioned, it was possibly one of the saddest days I've ever seen a 455 ever running. Then, as the final doors shut, then one last departure awaits. I reflected about it. It wasn't about the trains. It was about their lives. Now I realised that after this ride, no more would ever be running, and one still survives in preservation, awaiting their future, whilst the others meet their fate. No more will be running.